Hello, friends. I'm Dr. Jagdish Jagtap, and in today's podcast, we'll be discussing the Economic Survey 2017. This is some information about me, and these are the chapters of the survey. The survey is a huge document this year, it's around 325 pages, which is absolutely large, but I would recommend that all of you should read it once, and then you can watch my videos or any other videos or make some notes out of it. But a personal reading of the entire survey is highly recommended because it will help you in the mains, in the prelims, and also in the interviews. Because this year the interviews might be in the month of December, or January. That is before the next year's economic survey comes. So that is why this survey is very important for all the three aspects, that is prelims, mains, and interview. So let's start with a small topic today, that is clothes and shoes. Can India reclaim low skilled manufacturing? So what is the need for this low skilled labor intensive jobs? As we know, India has a huge population and we have a so-called demographic dividend. I'm using the word so-called carefully because to utilize this demographic dividend, we have to skill the youth. Today they are not skilled. So to materialize this demographic dividend, we have to do skilling, but we cannot say that we can give IT skills to all the population. No, there will be large amount of population who will be low skilled or semi skilled. For them, we should have these kind of labor intensive jobs. Now for this, the survey says that footwear and apparel means clothing, these are two ideal candidates to invest in, so that we can create such kind of labor intensive jobs. Why these two only? Because they have large amount of women employment, and these jobs can be formal and productive jobs. So in one stone we can kill multiple birds. So that is why we should invest in footwear and apparel. Now there is a small difference between apparel and textile. Textile will include everything, like right from the making of yarn and all, but apparel is only the cloth making. Now internationally, we have a very favorable scenario in one case, that is the Chinese wages are now going up. That is why the Chinese manufactured goods in footwear and apparel are having high costs. Now since these costs are high, their goods are becoming less competitive in the international market. Now this vacuum can be filled by India. But we have competition from Bangladesh, Vietnam and Cambodia. So even these guys are waiting in the wings to fill up that vacuum left by China. And to some extent they are succeeding also. So we have to compete with them. Now let us see the common challenges that both these two sectors, that is footwear and apparel, face. First and foremost is logistics. That is the time and money required to transport the manufactured good from the factory site to the export destination is quite large. This is because we all know that we have poor infrastructure, that is first. Secondly, our ports have very less capacity to handle very large containers. That is why Indian ports have to ship the goods in small containers to Colombo, and from there in very large containers it goes to the international market. So this has to be improved. Secondly, labor regulations in India stipulate that every person who is employed should contribute certain amount to the EPFO, that is Employment Provident Fund Organization, or the pension schemes. So This leaves very less disposable income with the laborer or the worker. So this is why even this has to be improved. Taxes and tariffs in India traditionally are less for natural cotton or leather, but more for man-made yarn or man-made footwears. So that is why Indian and internationally the demand for man-made clothes is going up, or man-made footwear is going up. So conversely, what India should do is it should decrease its taxes and tariffs on even both on the natural made as well as man-made, so that Indian goods can remain cheap in the international market and be more competitive. And finally, we have certain discriminatory treatment by the target nations. For example, in USA, if clothes from Bangladesh and India reach, then Bangladesh gets classified into a least developed country, that is LDC, and it gets less taxation, or it gets taxed less. But India has more taxes on it, Indian goods. So that is why the Bangladeshi goods become cheaper or more competitive in the US market. Similarly is the case with the EU and Canada. So we need to improve that. Now these are the common challenges of both the sectors. But for leather industry, there is one more challenge, that we have a large cattle resource which can provide us with very good quality leather. But due to cultural reasons and some beef bans, we do not utilize this cattle resource. So we have to look at that. So this is a challenge that we face today. So what are the solutions to these problems? Well, first solution is that we have to institute labor reforms. For example, if a certain person joins an industry, he should be given an option whether he wants to contribute to his pension. There might be some people who say, no, I do not want to contribute to my pension. I do not want a pension. I do not want a provident fund. I want to have my money in my hands, and I'll save this money, or I'll invest it somewhere. So that option should be available to that person. Secondly, they should be given a free hand whether they want to join the government insurance or some private insurance. So that in that way, the disposable income of the workers will be increased, and these people can then consume goods, and this will set the wheels of Indian economy rolling. Secondly, we can sign free trade agreements with US, UK, EU in a way that they are favorable to us. And lastly, in terms of logistics, we can initiate port-led development. First, we'll improve our ports. So once we improve our ports, the ports will be capable of doing large size container trade, and then using the ports as a nuclei, we can develop infrastructure around it, like cold storage, godowns, so on and so forth. Indian government is doing that under the Sagarmala project, so but it has to be fastened up. So this was everything about clothes and shoes. Can India reclaim low-scale manufacturing? In the subsequent lectures, we'll deal about the remaining chapters of the economic survey. If you want some chapter in priority, please write in the comments below. Thank you. Have an awesome day.